Hello, and welcome to a little quick tippy thingy in Rise of Flight. Today we're talking about spin recovery. Now you might be thinking, well, any monkey knows how to recover from a spin, and that is where, in the vast majority of circumstances, you would probably be right. However, there are a few aircraft in Rise of Flight, actually there are several, the Sopwith Strutter seen here included, in which you cannot recover from a spin through conventional means once it has really established itself and once you've spun more than 2 or 3 times. So, without further ado, we are going to just have a quick demonstration of such a scenario. So here, I just pitch up into a power on stall and see if I can get it to spin. And there it goes. And we'll just let the spin establish itself to the point where it is essentially irrecoverable by conventional means anyway. So, for example, alright, it's pretty well established in the spin. Now your typical spin recovery would be opposite rudder, in this case right rudder, which you can see below, full throttle, and forward right stick. As you can see, this is entirely ineffective, and if you carry on this way, it will go right into the ground. One point that is worth note, often, because if the spin is flat enough, you can actually survive the impact in the vast majority of cases. However, ideally, you would want to keep flying and not spend a trip to one of those nasty World War I hospitals. So, back down here, you just want to back off the throttle a little bit to about half, and then neutralize the rudder, apply forward left stick, wait until the spin just becomes a spiral, which then becomes a roll, and then back off the throttle completely, and just pull out. Now your speed does tend to get dangerously high here, that's why we have this buffeting going on. So, and you don't want to pull out too quickly because you will rip your wings off. But essentially, that is one way that you can recover from a spin, through a means which you wouldn't otherwise be able to. I will also demonstrate this with a few other aircraft where this can be a potential recovery technique. Alright, so for further demonstration, here we are in the Sopwith Pup. It is a fairly similar aircraft to the Strutter, although it is a decent amount smaller, and it's a little trickier to do this stall recovery in it, but once again, I pitch up into a power on stall, and then once it stalls, I just hit left rudder and force it into a spin, because it's actually reasonably difficult to get it to spin. But we'll just give this a second. Once the spin has established itself, as indeed it has here, again, back off the throttle, as you can see on the left, and neutral rudder, forward left stick. The spin becomes a spiral, spiral becomes a roll. And no, it hasn't happened yet. Okay. Like I said, trickier in the Pup than it is in the Strutter. In fact, in many cases, you do want to apply full throttle in this one. There we go. And then just back off the throttle and pull out. Again, it's very important to back off the throttle as soon as possible because you will rip the wings off if you pull up at too high a speed. Alright, and for the final little endy bit, I'm going to try this in the Camel. I haven't been successful in the Camel yet with doing this, because again, it can't be really very well recovered from a spin by conventional means. And we'll just see if we can spin it so I can show you what I mean. Okay, there we go. And actually, the Camel spins quite wildly. So again, your typical spin recovery is reasonably ineffective. And even trying the forward stick and forward right stick and backing up the throttle to about half. Like I said, I haven't been able to do this yet. I have a few ideas as to why. For one, the Camel is a fairly small airplane, all things considered, and also it has a very large, heavy 150 horsepower engine in the front, which is pushing its center of mass quite far forward. And just in terms of its tendencies, the Camel was an extremely difficult aircraft to fly. So that is generally why I haven't been able to do this so far. So we're gonna see. But this would also be a good opportunity to demonstrate the fact that in some of these aircraft, a spin is survivable if you hit the ground, if the spin is flat enough, or you're moving slowly enough. Might actually try this with full power. See if it will work or not, but I don't think so. And also, I think we might be going in the water. If we go all the way down. So, yeah, I don't think we're gonna pull this off. Alright, I think we're going swimming, that is if we don't die. And schmutz. It was actually rather dainty by all standards, and we did survive with minimal if any injury, so even in the worst of scenarios you can occasionally survive this sort of thing, although in Rise of Flight you do die if you sink, so keep that in mind as well.